Welcome to Beyond the Crunch, the Mindfulness Game Plan. Real conversations about mindfulness, wellness, and the habits that drive better performance at work and in life. Now, here's your host, Ulrika Eriksson.
Welcome to Beyond the Crunch, the Mindfulness Game Plan. I'm Ulrika Eriksson, and our guest today is a former NHL defenseman. He's the owner of a Canadian junior hockey team, and he's also the head coach of Syracuse Crunch, the American Hockey League affiliate of Tampa Bay Lightning. Welcome, Joel Bouchard.
Thank you, Ulrika. Nice to be there with you.
So good to have you here. I know you're joining us from Tampa and the development camp. How's everything going there?
Well, it's pretty exciting. Those kids got drafted a couple days ago, and then they get to fly to Tampa, and we get to spend some time with them as the Crunch staff, but also as the development staff for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's just kids are coming from everywhere, and for some of them, it's the second time around. They were here last year, but it's a 5 days that we try to connect with the players and teach them a little bit on the ice, obviously. But yeah, it's a great experience, and it's fun to see them, and it's fun to see some player we haven't seen in a year that we drafted last year, and you can already see like the physical strength and the change in their bodies, because we drafted them, they're 17, now they're 18, 19, so it's kind of cool.
And when young players like that, how do you work with them, like more like mentally, not just physically, and confidence-wise, and like all the things that go into hockey?
Yeah, obviously, physical part is a big requirement for hockey. As you know, it's a physical sport. It's a sport where you do need some strength. So we obviously going to test them, and what's cool about it is we test them, every time we see them, so we can see if there's improvement, and we've challenged them after every test about the result to get better. So they have a target, or they have an objective that they can come back the next time they come to camp and have maybe a better idea of the work they put and how it's going to translate for them in the gym, but most important on the ice. But the mental part, I'm glad you're talking about it, because it's our job is to prepare them. And in life, it's you got to do all your homework and get prepared as much as you can, but you don't really know until you get there. So our job is to really give them tools, or kind of give them a little heads up for situations that are going to happen on the ice, on the technical part, because they're going to be playing against bigger, smarter, older player with more experience. So obviously, the challenge are going to be there. But also, it's going to affect them. It's going to affect the way they feel about themselves. It's going to affect their confidence. It's going to affect how they are. And we like to call it the resistance they're going to feel, because they're going to have way more resistance. And some players react different than others. Some of them kind of right away, you could tell they kind of going through it, and they muscle through it. And some kind of paralyzed a little bit. So our job is just to be very aware of how they are, and because we know what they're all about, so we can tell right away if something is off on the player, because we're like, well, he's not that comfortable. So a lot of time we'll just kind of get a chit chat and see how you feel, and you can tell in their face, like, oof, it's a lot harder than I thought. And for
Right.
some of them, it's the first time they really get that resistance, right, or that adversity.
And other than just that, I know some of these players, they come from other countries as well, right? So you have, and not just maybe now here at the development camp, but when they come in to play with you in Syracuse. So they're from other countries, they have maybe language barriers, they're away from home, some of them for the first time. How do you work with them, and how do you kind of get them comfortable and situated in North America?
Yeah, well, the great news is, as well, I was one of them, because I was from
Right.
Montreal, and I came from a very French area where my English was very limited when I was drafted by the Calgary Flames, and I had to fly to Calgary, Alberta, and it was like the opposite of the world for me. So I know how they feel. So I honestly, I can relate to them right away, and your teammate and the player you're with always help you through this, and it's our job to make sure that they understand everything, because the worst part about it is for us to give explanation, give tips, or give guidance, and the player doesn't really get it. So when it starts, it's going to create a stress for him because he's like, "What are we doing?" So either we try to use player that speak the same language, or we'll grab board, or we'll take them aside after to make sure they understand. And usually, which is good, is you get a bit of a one-on-one connection with them, and you give them the pen, and then they grab the board and they ask question, or they draw what they think that the requirement are. So it's important that they are comfortable, because at the end of the day, if the player's not comfortable, it's not fair to him, but it's not fair to us either, because we're trying to evaluate him for what he is and how he react to our situation. So, but it's a good point. Usually hockey player are good guys, so they're always gonna help out the ones that struggle a little bit. And in 2025, a lot of them, already have a good base in English. So I think he used to be a little different back 20, 25 years ago. Now I feel everybody's is speaking a little bit, but you're right. Like some words could be difficult for them, or they just don't understand. And it's really important for us to make sure that we're accessible for them to kind of, hey, coach, just is that really what you mean? And they're like, yeah. And a lot of time there'll be some joke or something funny around the question or the situation, so that create a bit of a bond. And it's not abnormal that a situation would happen where I'll change the name of the drill just because a player thought it was this, and I say, well, we'll just change it and we'll just make light of it. So, but I think it's important that we realize that not everybody had the same background in English, and we want to make sure everybody's comfortable.
And that's good too. Like humor and laughing is always good.
Yeah, it helps everybody, even the
to.
coaches.
That's like in life. Yeah, we always have to do that.
Yeah.
So you coach professional, you coach junior.
Yeah.
What's the difference in between coaching like the younger player and someone that's, a professional player and has more experience?
Yeah. Well, of course, they're better player in a way that they're older, right? So I had a chance to deal with really high end, like junior player. And now when you go with pro, the high end pro player are better. Obviously, they're older. At the end of the day, they're the same guys. I'm coaching guys that I had when I was 16, said they were 16, 17 years old. Now I coach them to 24, 25. It's the same person. He's just an older version of himself. The difference is that in junior they come in and they're still uh, getting through the adversity, but it's not as bad for them because you're playing junior, your competition, you pretty much know it because there's people from a little city away, and all of a sudden you're kind of feel your way around that. When you get to the pro, the competition is a lot harder. So obviously the adversity, the resistance we're talking about is a lot harder. So I feel that they hit the wall a little harder, and they struggle a little more maybe than in junior. And all of a sudden it's their career where they've invested a lot, so you could sense in a shift sometime on the stress level of your livelihood. So it's important for us to, as a former player and as a coach, that I respect that, and I always tell them I want you guys to make a good living and to be enjoying your pro career, because it's pretty cool that you're a pro hockey player and become the best version that you can be, so you can become an NHL player with the Bolts and hopefully win the Stanley Cup. So the difference is maybe the stress level at one point that's a little different because it's your livelihood and you're pretty close to your goal. I feel in junior, a lot of them they want to play in the NHL, but it's still a little dream. It's not as real, as they're not as close as the reality, except beside a couple. When you get to the AHL, they're one step away. So they're right there, right? So it's like their name or somebody else that could get called up and play the next day for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They can feel it, they can touch it, but they still have work to do, and that's the reason why they're with us. So that's a little bit the difference. And obviously the requirement are a lot harder in the pro to have success. I had meetings actually yesterday and today with some of our player that came with the crunch at the end of the year, and I asked what was the biggest difference from junior or from college when you got with us at the end of the year, and they were all wow, it was a lot harder than I thought it was, and the requirement and the standard, and they came with us when we were in the playoff race where our team was pretty dialed in. So it's the caliber that's kind of the big difference for some of these guys. But from my standpoint, I'm still a coach. I got to be there for them. I got to get their attention once in a while, but I got to make sure that we're still connecting and we understand what we're trying to do together.
Yeah, and I can imagine too, because a lot of these kids, it's like, I'm sure you played hockey since you were little as well. They played forever and they want to make it into
Oh,
NHL. So you have that from junior to playing now in the AHL. You're like right there, like you said, teetering. That's a lot of pressure.
well, yeah, and I mean, we take it on ourselves too, because we they invest a lot. I mean, the player invests a lot. They invest, on the gym, they invest on the ice, they invest in everything, and they want to make it. And it's our job to give them, the best coaching that we can do to make sure that they become the best version of themselves. And then when they get the call to go play in the NHL, I mean, it's it's a lot of fun for them. We're very excited in the office as coaches, but it's a lot of fun for us. We're pretty happy. As much as you could say, well, your team is getting,
Imagine.
weaker in the AHL, and we're like, yeah, this is obviously we're losing a good player, but at the end of the day, our boy is in the big league. Like those are our guy. We were in the trenches with them early in the morning in Syracuse, and we go on the road trip and we go to
Right.
adversity, and all of a sudden you watch them playing Detroit and scored their first NHL goal in their first game, which was the case of Dylan
So
Duke this
cool.
year.
I know.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember seeing that, and the excitement of him, and not
yeah,
just him, but the family, because I think the family
yeah. The
as well. But
family with
like how important
yeah,
is the time that goes in, not just in the player, but also the family that they're there supporting, and hockey
it,
is commitment.
it was crazy. And his brother was in the stand because he was playing after the game was with his NCAA team. And his brother scored a goal that same day too.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about this situation, but we can talk about Gage Gonzalez that just signed a contract with Tampa that was with us for a few years, and the hard work
Right.
that he put and that the staff and the organization put with him, and just signed a 2-year contract. Those are, I mean, those are the good stories that you know how hard it is to make it in the NHL, because I
Right.
did it and it's hard. So when one of ours or a guy we worked with, what we appreciate, got a chance to make it, it's kind of cool to see that.
It's so cool. And I want to ask you, can you name just a few things that are important to you when building team chemistry, and kind of like, have the players. I mean, what are you looking for in the different players?
Yeah.
And you have I know you don't pick your team, but like the team
No,
kind of
yeah.
like you have, like how.
Well, I think the environment has to be healthy,
Mhm.
and has to be healthy for the reality of where we're at. So sometimes um healthy means, pushing them a little harder, because
Mhm.
it's going to be better for everybody, them included. Sometimes it's to be, maybe having better ears and kind of listen what they need at that moment. But I feel an then healthy environment is like an environment where we cut the crap, we're comfortable being there, we're not playing games, everybody understand. If we're not too happy about the way thing goes, it's fine, but we're just going to do something about it, and we're going to do it with a plan and a process, and not playing mind game or mind trick. Or I think that's where sometimes as coach or manager you get lost when guys start playing. You're not helping anybody. You just, I think, gotta come in and kind of assess the situation, and kind of target what needs to be better or what's going well, because it's not always when it's go bad, I think, to go well too,
Right.
and kind of go with that, what you feel that environment and needs it, so everybody's is healthy and happy, because at the end of the day it's a sports, and as much as it's competitive and there's a lot of money involved, it's a sports a game. You still need to, through hard time, through tough time, it's still need to be kind of fun a little bit. And sometimes we
Yes.
have a perception of fun, that fun is just we're all laughing, everything's going well, and we're relaxing. I don't think that's just that fun. Fun is that things aren't going well and we're digging deep together and it's still positive and we're being pushed or we're pushing them and we're seeing a little bit of result in practice, or we see a little bit of result of the guy feeling good about themselves, going, coach, it was a good one today, it was good practice, and going to the weekend feeling better about ourselves because we said, well, you know what? We had a good week. We checked our box. I think we're going to be good this weekend and we have a better result. That's fun too. So fun
Right.
is not always just fun in games. It's an healthy environment that could make sure everybody say, you know what, we're not wasting our time. We're doing something about it. So that's what I think is it's the environment where everybody can grow and kind of, feel comfortable.
Yeah. I want to ask you, mental health and mental health awareness a little bit. Do you think the players these days are more aware of their mental health than just, it's the whole awareness. There's a lot of
Yeah.
talk about this than when you played. Do you see there's a difference? I
Oh,
mean, it wasn't all that long ago since you played, but I mean, it's like the difference in between things change pretty fast.
Ulrika, I have no idea. Like when I played, I mean, first of all, we never talked to the coach. That was one thing. Now, every year I get a meeting one-on-one with the player early and ask him about his family, ask him, and I do ask, how's your mental health? How you feel? And I keep a card on every player. And I could say a number between 7, 8, 9 that mentioned. I did have moment where I needed some help, or I did have, which is to admit it. I mean, that
Right.
means that there's a lot. So, and every year a bunch of player would knock on the door and go, coach, I'm not feeling really well about this and that, or even crying in the office,
Right.
which I mean, can't even imagine a player crying in the office for his situation in my days. I mean, and I think it's great. I mean, I had player over the years
Mhm.
crying in my shirt. I remember I had a player not doing well at all before a game because he was bummed out about his reality. That's not a way he envisioned for himself, and I respect
Right.
that. And he was in the minors, and he was like, "What am I doing here?" That's not. He was pretty down on himself, so he broke down, and I took him out of the game. I said, "You're not going to play." And he was like, "Well, what do we do?" I was like, "Well, we'll manage that." And we just pretended he was sick, which is what we
Mhm.
do. We protect our player, and we should protect
Right.
each other. And I remember him crying like a baby on my shoulder. And I was like, wow, we need to be there for him. And I had a baby blue shirt and he laughed and he was like soaked because he
Oh,
cried so much on me. And I was like, I have to go in the room now. But
yeah.
it was just a moment where it was a few years ago. And I just realized I'm like, well, you know what? I'm glad he did.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, he goes into a game like that. How is he going to be? He's going to get hurt, or he's not. Like we're going to have and the flip side is if the player don't tell us, and if we don't tell people that we're surrounded with, we're evaluating them with thinking they're okay. And this is
Mhm.
always as a
Of course.
coach, all of a
Yeah.
sudden somebody doesn't say anything. Not only he's not going to perform well or be the best version that he can be, but my perception of him is like, well, he's not really good right now. When I don't have the full, you know, maybe full picture. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that it's probably the biggest difference for me, I would say. And I think it's right because I did see, as a player, we all went through it, but we would never mention it. We would say, yeah, it's hard, but it's fine. That's what we would say
Right. Shake
back
it
in the
off.
day. Yeah, let's go. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that's great that they do open up and that
yeah,
it has changed. Because it's so important. Um, and other thing I want to ask you is social media and media in general and the effects that can have on a player. How do you handle that? Because sometimes you see people write things, they kind of hide
yeah,
behind social media instead of saying something, they write it, or even media can be very tough too. And I
yeah,
think especially on young players, but even professional.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a nightmare. I mean, I think we all say we were lucky to play in the era we played because it was
Mhm.
just like it was a little dialed back, obviously. There was the paper, there could be an article, uh, which could maybe shake you a little bit, or it kind of put
Right.
a guy in a bad spot where the title was not flattering and the article wasn't flattering, and the next day was something else. Social media is the intensity through it. I mean, I think pro athlete knows that they're going to be criticized at one point. It's kind of part of the situation. I think that like you said, the bullying, the bashing, and people behind the screen being so brave about like their opinion and lies, and I think it's like that in sport. It's like that in everything, right? It's kind of sad a little bit. I'm
Very
personally not on
true.
social media, so I don't really get involved into this. But I feel for the player. I always try to be aware though if something would have come up, because I'm not. I have people that would let me know if something would come up. Obviously, our guys in the minors is always a less spotlight a little bit. They're in their,
Mhm.
growing as a pro, and unless they would do something, that would be mentioned. But I'm always aware of making sure that our guys are not exposed to something, because those things can derail. That's what it does. It
Right.
derails and it gets out. So, I mean, and I always talk to the player about being careful, because at the end of the day, I don't feel people really win on social media being overactive, or being over engaged, or it's just like there's no win at the end for me. I mean, I understand there's people making business with social media. I get it. And
Right.
I think
Right.
it's important in some way. For our player, I think their play on the ice, the way they are, the way they handle themselves is what's, the most important, and to protect themselves too and their family.
Right. Focus on what
Yeah.
they need to do, and the sport. But yeah, no, it's a problem in general, I know, with a lot, but I was
Yeah.
curious with the players. I want to ask you something different. Quotes, sayings.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite quote or like sayings, or something you use for the guys, like for yourself? I know you have
Well,
them
I
on the
got,
walls.
I got a couple of one, and they're kind of funny, but it was like, sometimes we tell player, you play stupid game, you'll get stupid prices. And it kind of sum it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when, you make bad decision, obviously you're not gonna, and the one that I like, which, sometimes translate to a hockey player a little bit, is like, bad attitude plus, you know, good talent equal bad talent, kind of, something like that, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of sometimes, if you have bad attitude but you have talent, well, it's going to be bad talent. It's kind of what it is. So, um, we always kind of feel like a little saying here and there strikes us when you hit them, but sometimes those quotes we kind of like to say it to others, but I think we have to say it to ourselves too, because as a coach, I'm as vulnerable as anybody for anything, and I'm making sure that I realize that the mirror in the morning is my worst enemy all the time, and it is for everybody. So that would be another one that I would use to the player. It's like the mirror is your worst enemy, because at the end of the day, we could see players that are fighting their own process versus other player that are just like moving
Right.
forward. And um, but as you know more than me, we're pretty complex, and we all have our things. So yeah, but those would be sometime that and I feel those one when I tell player, they kind of go, well, yeah, you're right,
Well,
or
it's
even
awareness, right? Awareness and
yeah,
bettering ourselves. We
exactly.
can always better. It's a process. You don't
Oh
want to be
yeah,
perfect. You just want to get better and better and better. You can be best, but you can still be better.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Keep
for
going.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
uh, inspiring people. Do you have someone that has inspired you or inspire you now, or like through your hockey career,
Oh,
someone that stands out?
well, I so many people, and I was pretty blessed and lucky, and I'm still is to have, you know, dealt with great people and over the years, and I always try to, when I knew that I was around somebody that could bring something to my,
Mhm.
to me, that I always try to pick what it was, or how would we do it. So from minor hockey, some coaches I had, to junior coaches that I had, to coaches that I had in the pro. And I was lucky. I had like Barry Trotz, Ken Hitchcock, like guys that were good coaches. I got a chance to work with Jacques Demers. And now, to be honest, like I'm worked with Julien Brisebois. It's pretty special. We know each other for a long time, but he's not only a good hockey guy, he's a really good person, and really,
Mhm.
really smart in the way he can handle everything. So um, I I'm very lucky. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet because I had a lot of people believing in me, and I was surrounded with people that got me better, left, right, and center. So I like I said to everybody, I'm blessed.
That's great. You had quite a few. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And another thing, do you have something you do for yourself, like just thinking wellness to enhance your own well-being? One or couple of things, something you like to do that make you feel
Yeah.
good, put a smile on your face.
Yeah, I always have to say that the first thing that pops in my mind is that I have a few key people that I talk to. And that people that and sometimes it's the conversation is not started with that, but it carries. So I would say I have two, three people that I like to pick their brain and just say, hey, and Ryan Hamilton, who works with us, is a friend of mine for years because we work at Hockey Canada together and happens to work with Tampa now, and I'm with Tampa, but it is one of them where you just kind of makes you think and kind of help you maybe process things a different way. And I have a couple of friends that, they probably don't know, but they're like sounding board a little bit somehow. And I feel I'm probably a sounding board for them too, but our closeness or honesty about our discussion and stuff makes it feel you after talk with Ryan, a couple of close friends, you feel like, yeah, feels good kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
great. And how's the upcoming season looking? We good?
We're working on it. Obviously, free agency started a couple days ago, so we're working on it. But it's a fun time of the year, and HL is unreal because when you look at it, it's a business where you work to get player to the next level and lose your player. And
Right.
you could work in the morning on a power play, and you feel so good about it, and 2 hours later, two of the guys are gone to the NHL, and you're like, okay, everything we did, it's like done, really. And
Right.
you change your lines, and that's why it's important to have good people and people who understand and respect the process. And then we're lucky to have Howard as an owner who's been there forever. And you're a competitor as a coach, as your competitor as an owner, your competitor as a hockey guy. But when you're part of a group like that, you understand the big picture and you understand the reality of it and what you're there for. So obviously, AHL's got a lot of moving parts, but we have a lot of young guys coming this year, which is kind of fun, and we get some exciting signings. So as a coach, I'm a little thrilled because I'm like in the back of my mind when we sign this guy, I'm like, I think I'm gonna try this with him because our job is to can we find guys that we can, work with and maybe, improve them? And this organization has been great with like all the player that, the Vertige and Marchessault and Gord and a lot of player that came that kind of had a different path and had a great career. And if you look at Radish that plays for the Lightning right now, came out as a walk-on tryout with the farm team with the Crunch, and all of a sudden he's in the NHL. So there's always player out there. It's our job to find them and work with them and see can we help the player help us down the road.
Yeah, no, it's exciting.
Yeah, it
Now we
is.
got geeky moving on too, right?
No, that's
Geeky
right.
stuff, yeah. No, it's so cool. I have one more question before I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you go because I'm sure you're busy, have things to do. But what's your favorite ice cream flavor? No,
Oh,
ice cream is a big thing. I see you and I was
okay.
just wanna scream out, ice cream for everyone.
Yeah, well, I as much as I look like I love my ice cream, I just love the moment when the player can come and get it, or I can give them ice cream because it kind of goes back to what we're talking about. I put that ice cream um in my office just because I think it's a moment of kind of making it personal or making it like not so serious or kind of understanding and kind of give a treat to the guys. So I got this idea when I came to say let's create something and told the guy, hey, why don't we get an ice cream? It's kind of a way of us, why don't we talk? It's and some player would come to me and say, I feel like an ice cream. I'm like, okay, that means he wants to talk. It kind of make
Oh,
it a
that's
little,
great.
yeah. So when the ice cream after the game, it's because ice cream for everybody. And the guys are great. I would say, what's funny about it is that a lot of them, and it says on it, you cannot have ice cream until you've been told you can, or you have the coach's permission. And I still doubt that some office member of gym come down to grab a few ice cream down the road. But sometime I'll tell the player, and there are only like 5 of them that will come because they're they're pretty serious about their diet. Like people like
Right.
don't know that, but athletes take it serious. And obviously ice cream is not going to kill you. But
Yeah.
but I think some guys go when I'm not around, so they don't know. They don't think that I know. Because I look at the ice cream sometimes like, that went down. Like I'll tell Jim, we got to stack it up. And I didn't see that many people going in. But yeah, so this is my favorite ice cream because I diverted. I would say cookie dough would be one of them. The caramel, the salty caramel would be another one. And I will be off the board by saying pistachio. I really like a good pistachio.
Oh, that's a good one. I like
Yeah,
pistachio
so
too.
I'd have to say that I do like ice cream, but it's a treat for me because I don't have it every day.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joel, thank you so much for being here with us today. I so
That was great.
appreciate you.
That
I
was
so
great.
appreciate being
Appreciate
here.
you
Thank
too.
you.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you. And to all our listeners, I just want to say thank you for being here. And remember, what you think you become, what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create. Until next time, peace, love, light.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Crunch, the Mindfulness Game Plan. This podcast is made possible thanks to the support of Amerique Credit Union, Inova Marine Insurance, the Lobdell family, Marcon Companies, the New York State Office of Mental Health, Pinnacle Employee Services, Todd Roich and Family, Upstate Medical University, and the Syracuse Crunch. Be sure to follow and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And keep your mindset in the game.